Welcome to this safety presentation on interdiction and piracy, brought to you by the Dharma Mining Company Freight and Tonnage Aerial Shipping Service, or FATAS. Dharma Mining Company ships valuable goods across the Black, and that naturally makes us a target for pirates. This presentation will cover how you can recognize piracy, and the procedures necessary to minimize harm and injury to Dharma's goods and profit margin. To learn how you can do your part to keep Dharma Mining Company shareholders happy, let's talk to Mr. Foreman in the FATAS Flight Operations Center.
Good day, workers. So there you are, with a hold full of valuable company resources, bending the laws of space and time to comply with your company-directed delivery schedule. Suddenly, you hear this sound. You find yourself tumbling around all three axes. Your thrusters are offline. You've probably vomited into your head-enhancing, light-maintaining environmental topper or helmet. You've been interdicted. Your cargo is at risk. Fortunately, as a Dharma Mining Company designated resistance or negotiation expert, or drone, you are highly trained and know the proper policies for this situation. Let's review them now with one of our top drones. Worker B445, come in please. Worker B445, respond. Mark?
That's Mitch, Mr. Foreman.
Ah, right, Mick. So, what do you do when your fat-ass transport is suddenly pulled back into real space?
Well, Mr. Foreman, Dharma's policy is that anyone who is using an interdiction field is a pirate, and pirates want to steal our valuable cargo. Sometimes pirates will tell you that they are police, but the real police would never ever pull over a Dharma Mining Company ship because
Of reasons. Reasons that are proprietary, confidential, and definitely protected by totally legitimate trade secret laws. Carry on.
Therefore, as soon as you are interdicted, you should arm your Dharma Mining Company issued 40-watt laser point turret.
And don't forget about those shields there, Bit. They're your best defense against damage to fat-ass property. Remember, the company owns the ship and the cargo.
That's right, Mr. Foreman. Now many ships have escorts to help protect them, but that would be a waste of company resources. We are experts, and we can handle this without help from substandard independent mercenary contractors. Wait a minute. What is that? Oh, no.
Haha! We've got a little surprise for you, Matt. It's one thing to tell the viewers how to handle an interdiction, but it's quite another thing to show them. We've asked some of those substandard independent contractors to test your skills in a live-fire exercise. Isn't that right, Mr. Announcer?
Quite right, Mr. Foreman. Live-fire interdiction exercises are a cost-effective way to keep our drones on their toes. For the drones that fail their training, Dharma's comprehensive next of kin benefits are available to qualified employees. For the drones that survive, they provide an excellent source of both policy reminders and demerits, which can be used during your next performance review. Let's go back to the training in progress.
Mr. Foreman, I'm sorry to say that I failed to employ the Grade 1E shields and 40-watt laser pointer turret to the company expectations. My engines are disabled, and I believe I am being boarded.
Oh dear, Worker B445. That does not bode well for the resistance part of your next performance review. Well, let's see about the negotiation phase. Do you remember your objectives?
Yes, Mr. Foreman. I must maximize recovery and minimize losses for the fat-ass division of Dharma Mining Company.
Very good. Now, then, let's review. What do you offer first?
I will offer the most junior member of the crew to the pirates as an unpaid involuntary general labor specialist. If that fails to satisfy them, I will add the next most junior member and so on, up to and including myself.
Sounds like we'd better hurry this part up then. Okay, how many crew members are on your ship?
It's just me, Mr. Foreman.
Oh?
Budget cuts.
Oh, well, right. Well, this part should go fairly quickly then. All right. So, then, when do you offer them the cargo?
Ha ha, Mr. Foreman. You won't fool me with that trick question. A drone never offers up any cargo.
Indeed. Good try, Mr. Foreman, you slippery old trickster. But I guess you have to get up pretty early to fool worker B445. A drone never offers cargo to a pirate because that would reduce the amount of insurable losses incurred by the value of the exchange commodities. This would have marginally negative impacts on Dharma Mining Company's tax credits and accounts receivable. And you certainly don't want that on your conscience as you face near certain death at the hands of the black-hearted scallywags.
Perish the thought, Mr. Announcer.
Ah, very good, Mickey.
Mitch.
So, in the event negotiations break down, are you ready to employ the ultimate strategy?
Oh yes, Mr. Foreman. In the event the pirates do not wish to leave the ship and cargo in exchange for my services as an unpaid involuntary general labor specialist, I will scuttle the ship and cargo in order to maximize the book value of the insurance claim the company can make.
Very good, worker B445. Alright, let's see. Tally that. Well, congratulations, you've only earned 45 demerits for this training exercise. That's just enough to qualify for a 10% pay cut.
Thanks, Mr. Foreman. That's the best cut I've had in years.
Well, you've earned it, Mr.
Let's listen in to the end of the exercise to see how well worker B445 remembers his training. Hey, was that supposed to explode or unlock?
I could have swore I put the tiny little bomb in there.
It just doesn't matter anymore, nincompoops, and I'll make way for the captain.
Greetings, pirate leader or leader representative. I am worker B445, but if you like, you can call me Mitch. I will be your official Dharma Mining Company designated resistance or negotiation expert. I am off.
Good shooting with that stunner, Jonesy. That scripted board and speech of theirs is way too long.
Right you are, sir. Tends to drag. I did let him get out that he was the company official, though, so we're all nice and legal with the insurance guys.
Well done. Right. Hey, will somebody get this lover's hand off the big red button there?
All clear.
Good. Put him in our hold. When he comes to, give him the orientation.
Aye. The orientation.
No one expects the pirate orientation.
Can I cover the dental plan, Captain? It's my favorite Finge Benny.
I don't bloody care so long as he gets a new jumpsuit. No swapping out for your old rags, Pete.
But our uniform allowance hasn't been raised since...
Shut it.
Well, I'll get him enrolled in the pension sharing.
Can we talk about this after?
Begging your pardon, Captain, but we seem to have gotten an open channel here. Probably best if I just kill...
Dharma Mining Company would like to remind all employees that employing the self-destruct mechanism on a Dharma mining vessel and or the cargo contained therein should be employed only as a last resort. Use of escape pods as a method to salvage Dharma property is encouraged in all cases. However, a recent surge in pirate activity means escape pods are unavailable and currently on back order. Next delivery is due in
43 days.
Thank you for viewing this Dharma Mining Company Fat Ass safety presentation on interdiction and piracy. Remember, Dharma Mining Company wants you to be safe and stay working. So be safe and stay working.
My portside thrusters won't stop firing!
I think I'm being followed.
My dad is turning green, like literally green.
My last nav check put me at Lagrange point 4.
This is Control. Be at radio. Keep calm and remain on the guard frequency.
Sits and sieves, captains and commanders, you're tuned to the guard frequency. As all good pilots know, when you're out in the deep black, you want to keep one ear on the guard. This is episode 168 of the Best Damn Space Sim podcast ever, and was recorded Friday, May 19th, and made available for download Tuesday, May 23rd, over at guardfrequency.com. I'm Ostron.
I'm Jeff, and since both Henry and King Shadow have some sort of alarm going off in their living quarters, we had to give this guy one of the hosting seats this week.
I'm Tony.
Of course you are. And so what do we have this week, Tony?
In this week's Squawk Box, there's iron and them there asteroids. Next, we see what news from your favorite space sims has landed as we cover the CCU controversy and the Eclipse release in Star Citizen. And some oddly spelled things like Canon and Gnosis, and then the PS4 and CTRL ALT Space in Elite Dangerous. And finally, we tune into the feedback loop and let you join in on the conversation.
We do want to issue an apology to our listeners for the lack of an episode last week. Unfortunately, life conspired against us and we lacked the support staff necessary to deliver a podcast of the quality we try to maintain here at Guard Frequency.
We have standards here. It doesn't seem like it, but we do have standards.
I was ready to do an episode all by myself. I was on board. As good as our badgers are at researching, they didn't measure up to our audio editors.
That takes care of the housekeeping, so let's get on with the show and see what's coming through the Squawk Box.
Any of you boys need a carrier around here?
Everything's under control. Situation normal.
Cryptor. This is Jeff saying welcome to the Squawk Box, everyone. Our thanks go out to Turkish the German for pointing us to this week's Squawk Box topic. Professional geologists and everyone who saw the movie The Core, so maybe like 9 people, can tell you that most solid planets are believed to have a metallic core at their center. Scientists would love to know more about that, but the almost 4,000-mile journey is only one of the obstacles to scientists studying our planet's core. Fortunately, there appears to be another one hanging around. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter has an object with it known as 16 Psyche. Based on the observations that can be done from here on Earth, this object appears to be completely solid mass of iron and nickel. While the theory of this being slag from God's welding table was put forward, the researchers from Arizona who proposed this project believe Psyche is actually the core of a protoplanet that got so battered by interstellar collisions that its crust and mantle were blasted off. Research opportunities for Psyche are numerous. First, if it was a rogue planet core, studying it can provide a lot of information about how planets form as well as the composition of planetary cores. It can also give first-hand knowledge of what a metallic planet looks like and how it behaves. Currently, the plan is to launch the probe in 2023. It will embark on a 5-year journey to reach Psyche, where it will remain for 2 years while the researchers do sciencey things with it.
Ooh. Hey there.
Sciencey things. Ooh.
Come here often, metallic asteroid core?
Hey,
dude?
get that probe away from me, man.
That's right, man. Yeah, no, this is. I read a couple of these articles, and they said that it's theoretically possible that if the core itself was battered while it was still hot, the impacts might have made metallic splashes that actually cooled before the
core did.
Very low gravity of the asteroid pulled the stuff back down. So there might be frozen splash patterns,
wow,
waves, frozen metallic waves that sort of pop up from the middle of this thing. So that would be cool just for the pictures.
Yeah. One of my good friends, Professor Tyson, you know Professor Tyson, right?
Oh, Neil? Oh, we're tight like this.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, he's your friend too? Okay.
Oh, yeah. He's not friends with everybody, just a select class of people,
Yeah. Well, we were talking the other day about, these movies. There's a new show coming out from CBS called The Survival, anyway, it's kind of like the theory of the core, or, an asteroid is heading to Earth, and they're actually going to make a series out of this. And anyway, we were talking the other day, and he said there's so much physically wrong with those movies that it's unbelievable how we get it wrong just for the entertainment value.
Yeah.
It's always funny like that.
Well, especially when you have shows like The Expanse that try to, at least try to get the science right.
No, there's a good show. I hope they get picked up for, 10 seasons.
Now imagine sending those guys after this asteroid, right? I mean, it's like, they wouldn't be catching that in their net and blowing it up in tiny pieces. This would be like...
No, that's right.
They need 6 of their little ships to haul this thing around. And we all know which one they're going after first when they get out there, right?
Right. Well, I'm hoping that science like this will help us further our own disbelief of what really goes on with the cores of planets. You know, there's another movie that always gets me. It's where our own planetary core stops spinning and they got to jumpstart it with nuclear weapons. It's like, come on!
Isn't that movie that we talked about? Isn't that the joke?
Yeah, it is. That is in fact
movie that we joked about. Yeah. Were you one of the 9 people that saw that movie, Jeff?
Yes, I was one of the.
Okay, all right. So there's 8 other people in the world. Like I said, we're a select group. You know, Neil doesn't make friends with just everybody. You know,
That's
select
right.
group people. So yeah, we totally know what we're talking about here because we're up on the misguided entertainment of the day. That's you can trust Guard Frequency for that to be really on the level right at the bleeding edge of all the misguided entertainment options of the 21st century. True. That's us.
Read, seen, or heard something that you might find interesting to others listening on the spectrum? Send us an email to squawk@guardfrequency.com. But for now, let's see what news has hit the flight deck.
Speed 175, Port Bay, hands on approach, checker screen, call the ball. Don't get technical with me.
Sometimes it seems like CIG's marketing group intentionally tries to announce policy changes in ways that will cause wailing and gnashing of teeth among backers. This past week, a post appeared on Spectrum from Tyler Witkin. The primary intent of the post seemed to be an attempt to generate excitement for the upcoming release of the Eclipse. The post was full of obvious entendres playing off the Eclipse's name, and they announced the intended price, which is $275. Then came the bombshell. Almost as an afterthought, Witkin mentioned that cross-chassis upgrades would now carry a $5 charge.
For those of you who aren't aware or know the term but not the details, cross-chassis upgrades, or CCUs, are the mechanism where people can exchange their so-called pledge ships, or the craft of which they actually paid money for, and upgrade them to other models of the same hull or exchange them for certain other ships. A list of ships is limited to what the craft are available for sale. But during special events or concept sales, backers can usually grab any ship they might be interested in.
The stated reason for the new charge has to do with the development of new ships. Development and refinement of ships is apparently influenced by ownership data that CIG has. So if 400,000 people own Avengers and only 30,000 own Auroras, development will be focused first on the Avenger-type content and then later on the Aurora-type content. However, if a new starter ship is released and 380,000 people melt their Avengers in favor of the new ship, or maybe the LN variant of the Aurora goes on sale and there's another massive shift, well, this could also skew the data.
Many backers have called this reasoning into question based on the repeated message from CIG that they have a well-formed ship pipeline that is planned out quite far in advance. When we put our research badgers on it, the only response we got was kidnapping vasectomies, so we had to turn to the masses for helpful information. The cynical conclusion of some backers is that CIG simply saw another way to get money out of people and are capitalizing on it. Any justifications or reasons they give are just window dressing, so CIG's greed isn't quite so blatant. The argument is reinforced by the complaints that there's already an unofficial surcharge in place for cross-chassis upgrades. Most recent offerings from CIG have featured a discounted rate for ships that are purchased with cash, the so-called War Bronze pricing. Using credit or a CCU to acquire the same ship at the same time carries a $10 to $15 increase in the price.
However, there is another reality to consider. With the lengthy development process for Star Citizen and the revamping and upgrading of ships, the value of some ships has shifted over time. CIG actually states that ship pricing during a concept sale is a one-time offer, and the price will substantially increase. This means it is possible to engage with what might be called ship speculation. Purchase a ship in the hopes that over time the price will increase, and then use a CCU to purchase the more expensive ship once it does.
In most cases, the strategy doesn't provide much of a buying advantage. Ship prices rarely increase by more than 10 or 20%, and it usually doesn't happen until the ship is flight ready, which can easily take a year or more. In any case, getting the most out of this often requires a significant amount of money at the start. If you put down $140 for a ship, in a year you might be able to CCU it up to a $160 or $170 ship. But you're not going to be able to buy and sell your way from a 300i to an Idris without a lot of work. That said, anyone who plunked down $180 for Starfare when it was first available are now sitting on $300 worth of ship. But that's more of an exception that proves the rule. Either way, as of the announcement, the profit margin on this kind of thing now had a $5 fee attached to it.
Kin Shadow couldn't be with us for this recording, but he did provide his input to the controversy. Quoting him, "The real problem isn't the ship balance excuse. If it was just that, they would simply ignore those less than 1% of accounts when generating metrics. The real problem is the Banu merchantment price change. That's the first $0 CCU they've offered that could be used to generate $100 in value with no investment. Thus, if you have a bunch of Redeemer to Banu $0 CCUs, you could essentially buy Banus at $250, sell them for $300, $50 above the CIG's price, and get $50 in profit for each ship. I don't know if people are doing it, but it seems pretty obvious to me that this is what the discussion is really about, and CIGs worry this will happen more and more often. My proposed solution is that they should just make CCU'd ships ungiftable after 3.0. It solves any of the unsavory issues, and they should just ignore CCUs in their metrics. The only common case of gifting lots of CCU ships are streamers, and I could see them providing a special system for them in the future."
Well, in the end, CIG backed down from the whole thing. CCUs will simply no longer be offered, starting with the current sale. And according to the post from Xylo, Lord of the Ship Prices, those $0 CCUs will start expiring somehow around the time 3.0 releases, which has been rescheduled for late July. So I've had a sip of tea. I've had a moment to collect my thoughts. And I'll just start the ball rolling here towards our own goal again. I'm going to roll that ball just right into the own goal. One more time. You know, Kin Show had a decent idea, and they came around to an idea that didn't cost anybody any extra money and seemed to solve the problem. Why was the first option, let's charge people some more? I don't understand.
I think that for a game that is still in alpha development, that they created their own issue with introducing CCU in the first place, or CCU in the way it currently was. Remember in the early days when you could just go in and cross-chassis your ship? If you saw something new and it was worth the same amount of price that you actually paid for it? I mean, come on.
I tend to lean more on giving them the benefit of the doubt, which isn't necessarily saying they had a good idea and communicated it wrong. I think they had a bad idea, but I think they had it with good intentions, rather than, hey, let's screw people out of more money because we found a way that we can. I think it was just they noticed this problem, which Kin Shadow outlined, which of people stockpiling CCUs, basically just sitting on their ships and going, well, I like the fact that I have all these ships, but if something better comes along, I'm ready to jump over the line as soon as I can.
They wanted to disincentivize the use and or abuse of a feature, as Jeff pointed out, they created of their own complicated marketing, sales, packaging model. I mean, it was something that they didn't notice or anticipate at the time that they created this thing, and this was the solution that presented itself right at first hand. And what concerns me, once again, is that the first thing that they do is a terrible idea, and it only takes a couple of days of forum rage for them to realize that it's a bad idea, and then they do something that's even simpler and doesn't nickel and dime, literally nickels, $5, people into that frothed up foamy rage.
It seems like this was a knee-jerk reaction in that they saw it, whoever identified this, I feel like, saw it as a primarily economic problem.
Right.
And therefore they tried to introduce an economic solution.
When it's not that at all. It's economic in it's that people want stuff, but it's more of that hoarding sense.
Yeah, but what I was saying is, I think whoever looked at it was looking at it as an accountant. So they were seeing money flowing in one direction. So the suggested solution was, let's introduce more money flowing the other way to reverse the flow. You know, if you're just looking at the numbers, that might make sense. From a political or social standpoint, this is a bad plan.
I mean, just raw science will tell you that. Anybody who's seen Ghostbusters knows you don't cross the streams. I mean, come on. Everybody knows that. The expiration thing is much smarter, and the most brilliant move of all, which is absolutely wonderful. Stop doing it. Stop offering the thing that's messed up. That's, that right there. That shows some analysis.
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, I'm somebody that hasn't really looked at or purchased a ship since I think the last one I bought was the Reliant. And I never paid attention to cross-chassis upgrades or melting, because none of the ships, all the ships I own are worth $60 or less, and I don't own enough of them where I could merge them together to purchase a next tier ship, or what I think of as a next tier ship. So up until I did the research literally for this issue, I had assumed that cross-chassis upgrade was just another term for melting and buying a different ship.
Right.
Which makes much more sense. Like, I can't think of a reason why if you have the ability to melt ships for credit and then purchase another one, you would need to have another.
Yeah, it goes back again to the dawn of time with Star Citizen. It's those physical items that come with the packages. So
this is another mechanism that made sense when this was a fledgling Kickstarter project that nobody saw exploding the way it did, and now because this is a $150 million project, there are some exploitable aspects to it that would never have come up in any other scenario, but nobody was paying attention to it.
Again, I think this is largely a symptom of the fact that there is no real game to play as far as, space trader type stuff goes. So this game sprouted up, this idle hands, Devil's Workshop, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, this is the sort of thing that can kind of happen when we're just, all they've got is concept ship sales, and what do you do till then? Well, let's make a market. Let's see if we can find a hole to drive a few $100 through.
So our first Star Citizen community question: was this another thinly veiled money grab by CIG, or was it a combination of bad messaging and whining from backers who see a loophole being closed? If you want to chime in with your views, stay tuned and we'll tell you how in a bit.
As mentioned above, the whole mess with the CCU charges was prefaced by a thinly veiled hint about the Aegis Eclipse. The marketing angle for this craft seemed to be banking on the thinly veiled theme. Numerous press releases and posts about this ship were dropped throughout the week. There was obviously a fake faux pas in what Watkins' announcement, a picture of a cloth-draped fighter silhouette, and a transcript of an in-universe forum debate that tried to imitate speculation threads that one might see in game forums in real life. That stunt included a doubting troll poster, but it lacked enough all caps profanity and improper spelling, grammar, or punctuation to be believable. All of this barely successful subterfuge rang a bit hollow with the backers, since the full name of the ship was pretty common knowledge as of the previous week.
Late Thursday, concierge backers, also known as backers who have pledged over $1,000 to the game, received a message with a link to a pre-buy offer for the Eclipse. That offer featured a special limited edition of the ship available for the Warbond price of $250, included a special in-game skin, in-game poster, unique serial stamp, and a forum badge. No other information was released about the ship at the time other than the fact it uses torpedoes. So if any concierge backers did jump on the offer, it was still kind of a speculative purchase. They also got to see the ship without the cloth covering, but the image really didn't hold any surprises for most backers. If you thought, this is going to be a B-2 stealth bomber, but made by Aegis, you basically had a good idea of what was under the cloth. How cool it is depends on your appreciation for the aesthetics of the B-2, Aegis, or both.
The public concept sale announcement on Friday filled in a few gaps, but not many. As everything up to the look of the ship had suggested, the Eclipse is a stealth bomber. Though the ship's statistics are apparently as accurate as an F-35 budget and progress report, they're all we have to go on at this point, so here's what that tells us. Those torpedoes mentioned in the concierge summary number at 3. We're not doing the Python joke. And are on external pylon mounts. It has 2 fixed size 2 guns, and based on the page summary, those are ballistic Gatlings by default. There are only 2 S1 shields, but it's packing 2 size 2 engines, so the ship is supposed to drop its payload and then run for the stars.
The other touted feature of the fighter are the variable profile wings. As seen in the tablecloth photo, they fold up to help fitting the bomber into the hangar bays. When in space, the wings tuck in to reduce the ship's profile, giving it an uneven pentagonal profile from the top. For atmospheric flight, they fully extend and give the ship a full delta wing look.
Now for the painful numbers. As we mentioned before, the Witkin Post said the base price of the ship is $275. The war bond price is $250. Still includes all the bonuses offered to the concierge backers minus the special forum badge. And what would a concept sale be without some special package deals? First up, there's the top secret bomber pack with the Eclipse, Gladiator, and Retaliator bombers, available for a mere $670. Then you have the top secret fighter pack, where you can pick up the Saber and Gladius for just a bit of over $240. And then finally, the Aegis War Pack gives you every Aegis ship produced so far, including the Starfarer Gemini and the Reclaimer salvage ship, if you happen to have $2,350. Just, you're not burning a hole in your pocket, you don't know what to do with, hey, here's your answer. Buy Aegis. Also, in light of our previous discussion, it's probably worth noting that CIG says the ship's price will likely be $330 when it's flight ready.
What can I say that I haven't already said about the extortion going on with CIG?
Oh, extortion. Please, they're not holding a gun to your head and demanding your wallet. No, they're asking nicely, repeatedly, with discounts for packages. The more you can buy, the more you can save.
So they glued fuzzy wuzzy stuff on the gun and are now holding it against your head.
I don't feel any pressure. Believe me, Jeff, I do not feel any pressure to drop $2,300 on these ships at this point.
I don't either. I find that for a game that's already raised $150 million. Let me say that again.
150. The big
$150 million this game has raised.
Yeah, it's just it might be the timing with the whole CCU kind of debacle, and we've had multiple conversations about the idea of concept ship sales, and it just yeah.
The thing about this one that sort of irked me was the whole secret project angle they tried to impart to the marketing. I felt like it was just the corniest thing they've tried so far.
I'm okay with corny. There's nothing wrong with corny. It
just seemed like it seemed like they'd already screwed the pooch with it, because if anyone was paying attention at all, the name and general purpose of the ship had been basically figured out the week before. And then they started doing all of this stuff hinting at, I'm going to make a whole bunch of puns starting with EC and then going in a different direction. And we're going to make all this noise about a secret project that's being released. And I don't know, it just seemed like a whole lot of effort to no purpose.
Yeah, I'm not going to knock on people who are trying to have some fun with it, but I think it rang a little hollow, like you said, when it seemed like it was a distraction from the other thing that was going on. It just, if they had sort of not counted on the awesomeness of their super stealthy spy campaign covering up the weirdness of the CCU announcement, I think maybe it might not have seemed quite so disjointed. It almost seemed to be like window dressing for this potentially controversial and maybe kind of weird thing that they knew that people were going to get up in arms about. So let's do this other thing. Maybe people get talking about that and they'll sort of drown out this other deal. That seems particularly, if that was the case, and it might not have been, who knows, I don't know. But if it was the case, that was particularly bad miscalculation.
Yeah, well, especially because they're advertising this as a stealth bomber, and we still don't really know how stealth is going to work in this game. We know that it involves manipulation of your infrared and electromagnetic and physical
and cross-section
ship profiles, but the ship is huge if you look at it from the top down or the bottom up. It's presenting a cross-section that would blot out a sun that was a reasonable distance away.
Yes.
So, it looks like it's sort of painted black the way actual stealth bombers on Earth are, but does that even matter in the grand scheme of things? So
it would just be a really black patch of space that blocks out stars and stuff. Part of that is, again, we beat this to death too, the idea of having concept sales before you know the mechanics behind it. Right. I mean, if radar cross section is going to be the thing, then you better hope that they don't have a beacon somewhere or you don't turn at the wrong time. And if infrared's going to be a thing, well, those great big engines that you're supposed to use to run away from the target after you shot it down are just going to paint you for the infrared missile that someone launches up your tailpipe as soon as you launch your torpedoes. Oh, and not to mention, hanging torpedoes from an outside pylon increases your radar cross-section. Hello, F-35, with its gun pod and stuff. So, I mean, again, I think it's one of those things that the ship is going to change, again, before the game launches, because they're going to figure out what the stealth mechanics are, and then conform the ship to match the programming that makes the thing tick. So, it's, again, I mean, I'm not going to begrudge them for trying to have fun with it or, trying to get some marketing hype going, but timing was kind of bad, and it throws into relief some of the problems of having these concept sales at the heart of the issue.
Okay, so our Star Citizen community question number 2 is, do you think the Eclipse buzz and marketing was effective? Are you going to be adding one or more to your hangar? We want to know. Details on how to contact us are coming up after feedback.
A community goal for the Canon research group in Elite Dangerous started on the 11th. If you missed it, it may be because you blinked. The top tier of 35 million tons hauled was reached in only 64 hours. 9,721 intrepid commanders, inspired by a dedication to science, plus the promise of sweet, sweet ship decals, shipped an average of 9,114 tons per minute to reach this goal in less than half the allotted time. As a result, a megaship, the Gnosis, has been constructed in the Virati system, currently orbiting A6. The Gnosis can be docked with and provides outfitting and some other services, but don't expect it to sit idle. Canon has the ability, with support's help, to move the megaship up to 2,500 light-years at a time, once per week, though in practice it will likely hang out in relevant scientific and discovery sites for periods of time as the story progresses. Congratulations go out to Canon Research and all the participating commanders.
Frontier announced this week that the official launch date of the PlayStation 4 release will be June 27, 2017. Pre-orders are already available in Europe and will go on sale in the US May 30th. With the Elite base game and Horizons, described as a Season's Pass, available separately or via the Commander Deluxe Edition, which also includes a paint pack. All pre-orders come with an exclusive gold Sidewinder skin as well.
And the winners of Elite's CTRL ALT Space 2017 video contest were shown via livestream, featuring honorable mentions, runners-up, and the overall winner, Stardust by Turhan Sandstone. His video was a touching tribute that used many of the new tools of the new 2.3 season, including the Commander Creator, the new video engine, various ships, including the nameplates, all to great effect. Plenty of other great creators were in the mix, and the judges definitely sound like they had a tough time coming to a final decision. Check them out for yourself. Link will be in the show notes. Stardust, this was one of the ones that I saw. I don't think I put it on our list because it seemed a little too maudlin. It's like one of those movies that they put on the poster boards out there, for your consideration for Oscars. I mean, it was almost...
It was like an Oscar bait machinima.
Yeah, it was almost an Oscar bait. It was good. I mean, they believe me, some of these... What people are doing with this camera that is just astounding. People are doing some really, really great space choreography with this stuff, and they're telling stories, which is amazing to me that you can tell stories with spaceships, and they're doing a fantastic job. So hats off to everybody that participated. This is the sort of thing that will spur additional use of these tools, and people will compete against each other a little bit to try to one-up each other, and I think that's fantastic.
And Elite has probably solidified itself as the go-to source for making space videos like this for quite a while. Because it's got the graphical fidelity, and it's got the camera control, and all the tools that you'd need. Basically, the only difficulty you'd have is if you want to tell a story that features, like, first-person activity. But I feel like you could easily take another... like sci-fi skin first-person shooter game, do some creative splicing and make that work without too much trouble either.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing that the ease of use of the tool is gonna get a lot of mileage. People are gonna get a lot of mileage out of it. It's a little annoying at first because they don't give you any default settings. You have to actually go in there to to set up what you're going to use to make the camera rotate or pan or zoom or whatever. But I think that maybe even a hidden advantage, because it makes you think about what the camera is going to be doing, because you have to program the button that's going to do it.
Yeah.
You have to think, okay, so if I'm going to want it to zoom in at this point, my fingers are going to be here, and so I need to do that. It kind of makes you think about what you're going to be doing with the camera as the game as the scene is playing out in the game in front of you. So
even with that like learning curve at the beginning, most real quality programs that deal with video or audio editing are all like that. I mean, my brother does video editing as a career, and he, at one point, I was at his computer and he needed me to open up Final Cut Pro, and there is nothing obvious about that program. Once you know what you're doing, you can do literally anything you want. But I mean, even with us, if you open Audacity for the first time, it's a bit daunting.
Yeah, there's a lot of squiggly lines and buttons and symbols on there that are not immediately obvious until you start thinking about the process of, and this is the important part, the process of capturing the sound.
Right.
The tool that they have here is a filming tool. It's a capture tool. It's not an editing tool, because you can then take your film you captured, then you can, as you're saying, use one of your programs like an Apple to edit it after that. This is how you capture the scene. When I was back in the early days of Priority 1, I was making videos in Star Trek Online. They had an internal tool also called Demo Record. That was not obvious or user-friendly on how to use at all. And there were maybe a dozen people in the entire community that could make compelling videos. You know, the sort of like the ship comes over your head and it like looks really big and imposing, and it then goes into orbit around a ship, and then you time it so when it goes to warp speed, it goes to warp speed right past your face. You know, there are very few people that could make the camera do tricks like that. That is not the case with this one. There are going to be a lot of people that can make things really cool with the ease and simplicity that Frontier put together with this, and this contest just proves it. It's just I'm flabbergasted. You guys want to talk about the Canon thing? Because that's kind of cool too.
I'm kind of pleased that Frontier is allowing the community to do this kind of stuff. I thought it was nice.
Well, this is a spiffy one, because they've always allowed people to write in suggestions for community goals and say, our little in-game group wants to build a refinery or has a pirate problem or whatever, put a community goal in this system for this amount of time, and we need these resources, that kind of stuff. That's been kind of a thing that they've always done. This is super cool, though, because this group has an in-game asset that they're going to be able to move around. A mobile dock, essentially. And that is just awesome. That they're going to work with the community like that, an unofficial, not affiliated with a Frontier group, to drop this thing around and support the ongoing, alien stories, because that's what Canon primarily does. They're interested in the aliens and the unidentified artifacts and that kind of stuff. So this is, I think, excellent emergent gameplay, user-generated content of a different kind. Again, I think it's going to set the game apart and give it legs. And now it's time for our Elite Dangerous community question. What are your feelings on the community-sponsored megaship? Bonus question, do you agree with the judge's choice for winning the CTRL ALT Space video contest? Let us know through our usual channels. Details coming shortly.
But now it's time for news we didn't use. iNovae has released patch 0.1.8.0 for Infinity Battlescape, mostly focused on performance improvements and some asset improvements.
Everspace has released a final teaser trailer before its May 26th release date. Their pre-release development update confirms the full story elements will be in place on release. However, VR and Linux support will not be ready for release.
Dual Universe's Kickstarter is finished, but they've implemented ongoing pledging and stretch goals. Currently, they've cleared funding goals to provide Level 1 character customization and Construct versus Construct combat. Their next goal opens the door for an in-game bounty system.
Now that we're all caught up with the latest news, let's tune into the feedback loop and let you join in on the conversation.
Okay, buddy, what's on your mind?
We're all friendlies! 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 We're all friend
Some say he was arrested for assault after a misunderstanding about beat poetry, and that he's been ousted from Hooters for counting crows, but only knows he's called the Shiv, and he'll put together this week's feedback.
Recap of last week's community question. So was PAC in the dark about SDC's intentions, or did they intentionally sacrifice the named character for the greater good? Do you have any other insights on the community event? Alandian responded, about the Elite event, I think it was handled horribly. I've lost respect for Mr. Wager, and I won't be purchasing this book or any other book he writes from here on out. If he wanted to kill off his main character and thereby kill the story, since without her there's no real reason for a third book, he should have done it himself in words. Not by friending everyone and their brother in-game and letting them track her through the systems and influencing the instancing to mine salt. This should have been a CG, not a free-for-all.
And Werecoles that writes in and says, I'm not very familiar with what you can and can't do in ED, so forgive me if this strategy has obvious flaws. Why not have a core group of 5 people you know you can trust be the true escorts and have everything else be a distraction? Do everything the way they did it with the training runs, etc., and then ditch that plan and defriend everyone but your core 5 at the last second so they can't track movements. And take your chances with a heavily armed, small but trustworthy escort.
To which Manipulator replied, because escorts are not really implemented in ED. You can't fly together. There is wingman nav locked, but it engages jump only after your leader is gone. And by the time you arrive to your destination, your wing leader could be 1 to 2 systems away. So to fly in group, you need to wait. The killer was from that top 5 trustworthy escort group. That's what happens when you get Twitch streamers in that kind of position. Well, it happens every time with RP gamers combining with streamers. Because those streamers don't care about the players they play with, they only care about the kids who drop their money through the channel.
And in turn, Nabot has said, mainly because Salome kept everyone friended so the event would be exciting. Otherwise, a couple jumps any direction followed by a leisurely and scenic jaunt would have meant a few minutes of excitement and then a lot of waiting. The entire goal of the event was for it to be dangerous. That Salome made it as far as she did was pretty amazing. In the end, it was instancing that killed her as much as a player. If you add up all the evidence, it's pretty likely everyone is telling the truth about the outcome and journey to it. Pretty much.
Runda Spoon writes in and says, I just want to add my Elite Strike comment that if I was Frontier, I would go all Richard II and promise the third-party devs to help work on the API, meanwhile getting someone internally programming this much-needed functionality into the game, only to slaughter the third-party peasants when the timing was right and release it as a future patch. Players shouldn't need to rely on websites that are going to throw temper tantrums every time something breaks, and the fact that it had Frontier by the throat would concern me if I was invested in them. Also, the lore that came out of the large alien army is coming to kill us, challenge accepted. This has been the thing for me Elite has been missing. Definitive enemy and fingers crossed to capture the system style gameplay. I've got my fingers crossed.
So yeah, the event, it wasn't a perfectly designed event, and I agree with Nabotes when he basically said Salome could have unfriended everybody, and that was a question that was going around, is like, when are they going to unfriend people? One of the escorts, one of the other VIPs, I asked for a friend request like the night before, and he accepted it. So I think the intention was to let random people be able to locate them on the galaxy map, because the challenge always was to try to get in the same instance as them. That was always going to be the hard part. And it was going to be just as hard for the defenders as it was for the attackers. So kind of a sauce for the goose thing. It was all going to be your luck of the draw, whether or not you got into a combat arena-sized instance with somebody who's going to be your friend or your foe. It was always going to be luck of the draw on that. So I think that maybe they could have done some things slightly differently, but they gave it a lot of thought, and the simulations played out kind of the way the real, quote-unquote, the real world did, the real exercise happened. I think they had it pretty much right as far as the design goes. Now, as far as trusting people and Harry Potter being a Twitch streamer who was taking advantage of an opportunity to, make a jerk of himself, well, that's how it goes. And I need to apologize on that note. I need to apologize because I kept on calling them the Salty Dogs when that's an actual. I think it's a squadron name of some aggressor squadron in Nevada for the Air Force. It's the Smiling Dog Crew, And congratulations to them, because not only did the Canon research group get their official decal in the game, but the devs from Frontier are working on the Smiling Dog Crew official patch, which is amazing. I mean, the artistry from Frontier, the attention to detail, and the thoroughness with which it was pursued rivals our very own Lennon Rich's artistic efforts in this matter. We should definitely put a link to that patch in the show notes, because it's mwah. So congratulations to the Smiling Dog Crew, the butt fedoras of Elite Dangerous. And in general feedback, Sean Newboy says, wonderful show.
YC writes in and says, is that Harriet in the pic? The face that launched 1,000 ships in the opposite direction. This is in reference to the picture of Tony as Hermione.
Thanks, Ben. You know, Ben, First Problems, Sanders was like the guard frequency troll, and we hired him because it's better to keep your enemies close, or your friends close, your enemies closer. That guy. He's had it in for me since day one. Day one!
Godwin W. writes in and said, if it's a Space Sim podcast, why this title? It puts me off. Can't help it. Sorry. I'll try to listen.
That was a great title. I thought it was one of our, honestly, between the title and the show art, this has got to be my top 10 favorites of all time.
Rent-a-Spoon continued his commentary. It says, Tony, you always talk about concept sales that CIG does as own goals. This time it was about the Defender and how the vision is obstructed. Firstly, I remember the devs saying the Banu are taller, so I don't know if this will fix the problem. Secondly, being in the car industry, I've seen cars come out with big flaws with visibility, so for me this is normal, and I've always thought ships with actual design flaws are far more exciting than ones without. Plus, this then comes with the added bonus of seeing downwards, something you don't get in a Hornet, and I don't see it actually causing an issue for a ship that's more of an archer than a swordsman. I think it's great that CIG mock these ships up at concepts and throw them at the community, even if the post 90 threads about the visibility on Reddit, certainly not an own goal. I have a lot of respect for CIG showing their flaws and them addressing problems that arrive. Admittedly, they're a little slow at it, but the Cutlass is a good example of them fixing problems.
He then continues in a slightly more agreeable tone to me, sniff, but I'll be okay. He says the referral program was a flawed design, however, and they should have designed it as an organization or an entire community idea. So rather than getting a Star Kitty Dragonfly for each individual backer, why not a mass target of 10 million total referrals, and when completed, hand it to all participants? Also, why a Dragonfly, not a paint job? Why Star Kitty and not actual in-game lore like Big Benny's? Hello Kitty is a thing because of the JDM car scene. Where is the lore to reflect that? I wouldn't say it was an own goal, but they completely missed an open goal and insulted the ref's wife to go along with it.
Jace Pintad writes in and says, the Defender sounds pretty cool to me. A maneuverable long-range fighter with a firepower of a saber and a second seat. Aha, right up my alley. The Banu Merchantman I'm unsure of still. Some of its advantages over a pure hauler are unclear because it lacks systems. Certainly it will be more self-sufficient and better armed than a hull. But will it be enough to be profitable? Overall, I'll dig them both, and I'm debating whether to use both of my CCUs, especially given the current CCU kerfuffle.
So, I'm not going to be shy about the whole own goal thing. I mean, I think that concept sales are problematic to begin with. I don't think there's a good way to do them. But when there's a design flaw like that gets through it, my concern is more of how do you set those expectations for people once you've actually sold them the quote product already. So if they're expecting a Cylon fighter with the pokey things out front and the two cockpits in the middle, and all of a sudden, you bend the pokey things down and the cockpits sort of merge into one cockpit that's a two-seater side by side like an A6, is that changed enough so you can make it functional? And I get the whole thing about looking down because, and again, in Elite Dangerous, some of the coolest ships to fly are like the Asp Explorer, where you can see the underneath you, where you can see the landing pad or the planet surface as you approach it. So absolutely having a different style cockpit, different shaped cockpit's great. But if it's a space combat game and you're selling a fighter, the one thing that'll get you killed faster than anything else is a lack of situational awareness, and having metal on the size of your face is not going to help in that situation.
The executive producer, Elliot Tan, and I last week lost a supporter of our podcast, and basically has been a friend for the last 15 years. So I want to mention our heartfelt wishes to his surviving family members. His name was Pete Clefo. I'm not saying his last name right, but Pete, I know you're watching down from us, and you know, I just got to say that a lot of times in the gaming world, you meet people you meet people through the games that you never meet in real life, and over the years, through various different activities, usually done on a computer, you make yourself a great amount of friends. Elliot is one of those. Pete was another one. We've known each other for 18 years and only have been doing this through the gaming industry. Pete, you're going to be sorely missed. And Priority 1 and Guard Frequency just want to say thank you for being a part of our lives.
So say we all.
Anyway, our new Patreon this week is Jeffrey Smith. Shiv will send out patches soon as he gets them. Here's looking at you, Tony.
Yeah. This see it right here. You see this? Do you see this? See this? See what this envelope is full of? Patches. Okay? I'm getting to it. I'm getting there. I'm a busy guy.
And to reiterate this week's community question, was CIG CCU charged another thinly veiled money grab by CIG? Or was it a combination of bad messaging and whining from backers who see a loophole being closed or at least narrowed?
On a related topic, do you think the Eclipse buzz and marketing were effective? Are you going to be adding one or more to your hangar?
And for Elite Dangerous, what are your feelings on the community-sponsored megaship? And do you agree with the judge's choice for the winning CAS video?
Either way, drop us an email, a tweet, or a comment on our show post, which you will find on our website and over on our Facebook page.
So, how was the show? Are we clear with our messaging, or are we just causing confusion and strife? Either way, let us know. Here's how you can get in touch with us. Why not leave us a comment on this show's post over at guardfrequency.com?
Or hit us up on Twitter at GuardFreak, or leave a comment and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/GuardFreak.
You can also use the contact form on our website. All the details for all the ways you can get in touch with us can be found in the show notes. Your feedback is an important part of what we do, so take a minute. Tell us what's on your mind. And that brings us to the end of episode 168 of Guard Frequency. We'll be back with episode 169 on May 30th, so be sure to keep an eye out for our shows over at guardfrequency.com.
But that's not all. You can also subscribe to our shows at feeds.guardfrequency.com or by searching for us on iTunes. And if you're not doing anything Friday nights, then you should come and join us at 10 p.m. Central as we record Guard Frequency live over at twitch.tv/guardfreak.
Do you like what we do? Want to help us make the best damn Space Sim podcast ever? Drop us an email to squawk@guardfrequency.com. And you can also support the show by visiting our website, clicking on the Patreon logo, and becoming a regular subscriber. For just $1.25 a week, you'll get access to the raw recordings of our live shows, some Guard Frequency goodies, and an invitation to our private Elite Dangerous flight group. We want to thank all of our Patreons who support us with their subscriptions week on week and hope you'll consider making us a regular contribution, because the more support we get, the better show we can make.
Are you looking for a friendly wingman or two? We're active in most space sims and would love to have you join us. Check out our website and look under the call signs sections for details of how you can fly with us. And don't forget about our sister production, Priority 1. They cover all things Star Trek, from the TV series to the MMO, the novels, the movies, and everything in between. Be sure to check them out at PriorityOnePodcast.com.
We'd like to thank the entire team at Guard Frequency and the Priority 1 Network. Thanks to our community managers, Justin Chivalry Bean Lowmaster, our artists, Ben Sanders and Simon Charlton Edwards, our staff writer, Jace Pentad, and of course our audio engineer, Mikey. Thanks to our syndication partner, The Base, and special thanks to Ronald Jenkins for his permission to use his music in our show. Visit ronaldjenkins.com for more of his work, where you can check out his latest album, Roads Deep. But above all, we especially want to thank you folks for tuning in. If no one's listening out there, the deep black gets pretty lonely.
Reduce thrust. Turn to 330, Carol 15. Squawk 7700. Stay on the guard.
And since Henry and Kinshadow have some sort of alarm going off on their living quarters, Oh, sorry. Let me reread that. And since both Henry and Kinshettle have some sort of alarm going off on their living quarters... I did it again. I just skipped the word. This is going to be a great show.
In this week's Squawk Box, there's an iron... okay. And I messed up now. Oh, the introduction is going to be great. Python mounts?
No.
And that he's been ousted from Hooters Casino for... Hooters is not a casino, Shiv. You can tell he's never been to one because Shiv is like a super, super family nice guy. Yeah, okay.
Oh my God.
Let me try that. Let me try that one again. Oh, we got to get you out more, Shiv. It's funny because he brings us the.
We gotta take him to a Hooters.
It's funny because in Portland they have this donut shop it's the Pink Box Donuts. It's Voodoo Donuts, VD. So all the VD jokes we've been using over the years really been ripping off from this donut shop that Shiv knows in Portland. So, but he'll make all those jokes all day long, but he's never been inside a Hooters. I just think that's funny. Okay, beep beep.
I have no chance of pronouncing.
Wow, that's a good one. Why klept?
I want to say Kuntipotence.
There's no second. There's no second I in there. Kuntipot.
Sure, there is. It's after the silent T.
Kuntipotence. Why klept?
Sure.
Kuntipotence. 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 Kuntipotence.
I'm just going to go with YC. Okay.
We'll see if
Jeff, you good?
Do I need to put the song on again? I'll do it.
No, I just got to answer this. Hang on a second.
I'll do it.
I'm the
don't tempt me.
second string.
Don't even, man. It's back. It's on, man. Kenny G. Soft jazz.
Oh, no. You don't have to go to that such... It's okay. You can turn that off.
Man. No, I can't.
I'm with Jeff on this one.
Well, you guys shouldn't have me run the stream then with all these great and wonderful toys in front of me. All right.
Okay. Yeah. Please don't put your head underneath the desk. There's just too much that can go wrong with that visual.
Oh, Jeff. Shame on you.
I have a grammatical objection to using the term both in front of a list of 4 items.